Higuruma is actually not that hard to counter. He can be horrific to fight in some cases, sure, but compared to some characters like Akari, where the counterplay is just be better than them at one trading or else you lose, Higuruma is kind of in a spot where if you know what you're doing against him, you can win most of the time. Some of the stuff against him is a little matchup specific, but that tends to be limited to his awakening, and in this video, I'm going to show you how you can beat Higuruma pretty easily, or at the very least, beat any Higuruma that's around your skill level, so that you can stop getting crushed into a million pieces by his gavel. The first thing you need to know with fighting Higuruma is that your Ragdoll cancel is your savior. Don't waste it, because if you do, you're getting comboed to death. Your Ragdoll cancel is a main way you can avoid his most devastating combos, because they all revolve around keeping you in Ragdoll for a couple years so that he can do about 50 down slams. That means that if he M1s you 4 times, or you get hit by one of his moves, don't immediately Ragdoll cancel. Instead, wait for one of the opportunities where you can Ragdoll cancel to punish his attacks. There are 3 times I'd say are the best for punishing Higuruma. The first is Justice Served. Lots of Higurumas, after Ragdolling you, will use Justice Served, and since there's a lot of startup on the move, you can react to it, side dash, and then M1 Higuruma to get the combo of your own. The second is Twirling Strikes, which is in the same boat where the move has a long startup period that you can react to and dodge. The most common times these will be used is after either an uppercut or a down slam, and when these happen, be prepared to Ragdoll cancel when you see these moves happen, but don't press Q immediately because good Higurumas will wait for you to waste it by just not using their moves. The third best time to bait Ragdoll cancel is when your opponent is about to do their down slam. What do I mean by this? Simple. A common combo of Higuruma is to use 3 M1s after either Twirling Strikes or Justice Served to then use a down slam to extend the Ragdoll and do extra damage. So if you see them do this combo, then you can wait for the down slam, dodge, and then punish them with a forward dash in the long end lag that they're stuck in after missing a down slam. All of these are easy punishes, and if you're using your Ragdoll cancel as well, you'll not only be able to get out of Higuruma's combos, but put him in combos of your own. As for M1s, I'll go over it briefly, but his second M1 has 2 hits, so if you already blocked one M1 and you're planning to block the second, you need to hold your block longer than normal, because if you unblock too early, that second hit of the second M1 is going to catch you, and you'll be in for a combo. Now, let's move on to moves, the first being extended swings. Generally in neutral, there isn't much to avoiding this move. If you see them using it, dash away or block, and if you chose to block, make sure you dash out at the end. You can also sometimes punish it if they whiffed it, but unless you're punishing with a ranged move like Lapse Blue, I don't recommend it, because trying to M1 them out of the move can be pretty inconsistent, even if it works. If you're hit by it though, then that's where the mind games come in. If you didn't already know, the move has a 50-50 aspect to it, where Higuruma can either choose to do a blockable down slam or a guard break to the side. There's no specific trick to figuring out what they'll use, so you generally just have to read the opponent, which you can figure out after 2 tries usually. My way of doing it is to start out by not blocking, since it's a lot less punishing to get hit by the down slam usually, compared to being guard broken, which hurts a lot. Though you can also punish a guard break if you predict they'll use it, unlike the slam which a Higuruma can block after, to avoid getting punished. If they slammed once, then you can try blocking, and if they tried guard breaking, then you can try not blocking on the second try. That's when you'll figure out what kind of player they are. If they mixed up, doing the opposite of what they did before, then expect them to mix up and try to be unpredictable about whether you'll block or unblock by also mixing it up. If they did the same thing as before, while it's not guaranteed that they won't mix up on their 3rd try, some people do the same thing as before, expecting you to try mixing up your reaction on the 2nd try. Generally, you can expect that they'll try to guard break you. There are, however, some tells to make predicting the move more consistent if your reaction speeds are decent. If you see the Higuruma flick their camera to the side, block, because it's basically a guarantee that they're going for the slam. The reason for this is that doing the flick is a common way to land the move, since without the flick, the hitbox will sometimes just phase right through the opponent, for game jank reasons. Them not flicking isn't a guarantee that it's a guard break, but them flicking is usually a guarantee that it's a slam. If you can't rationalize all of that in your head though, I'd say just don't block. It's the safest way to do it, and while a guard break will almost always hit you when you block, there's a good chance for the slam to not hit you even if you're not blocking, because of that jank of the hitbox I mentioned before. Justice Served is a lot simpler of a move. I already went over the whole Ragdoll combo cancel aspect, so there's no need to rehash it. However, in neutral, it's not too complicated. Interrupt the move if you're up in their face, or alternatively, you can dodge. And if the shockwave is coming, you can either dodge, since the hitbox is very tiny, or take the safe route and block it. Either way works just fine. You can punish a move if you forward dash them and don't get hit by the move during your attack, but again, it's a simple move without much to say in countering it. Grapple is the problem child. It's a test of two things, reaction speed and also you not being really predictable. The most basic counterplay is, if you see the indicator that they're using it, block. However, the move does become an issue if the Higuruma is good, because they can use it to catch you during the middle of stuff like forward dashes, or other moves where you really can't do anything, like Mahito's aerial stockpile, Yuji's crushing blow, whatever. Most players don't have that kind of game sense, but for the ones that do, the safest thing you can do is bait out Grapple by just always being on guard for it. Once it's on cooldown, then you can start taking risks with your moves. However, that's kind of inefficient, so I'll tell you some times where you can sort of expect Higuruma to use Grapple. After you Ragdoll cancel is a big one for sure, so make sure to block if you do cancel Ragdoll, but also in the middle of neutral, the move tends to get thrown out a lot too, especially after a backdash or a side dash away from you. If the Higuruma is making distance, it's safest to block, because that could be a tell that they're using Grapple. Again though, you kinda just gotta think about it and deal with it. Twirling strikes is one of the easier moves to counter, and it's in a similar boat as extended swings, where it's more for combos than neutral, though it's not like there isn't some use for it there. If you see the opponent winding it up, block. Then, if you block, be very on guard for when the strikes stop, because if they do, they're using the R variant, and you need to unblock, wait for them to attack you, and then side dash behind them with an M1 for an easy punish. Do not immediately M1 when you unblock, because the R variant will guard break you for any action. Other than that, just look out for it. It's really easy to block, and if they use it from far away and just miss it entirely, you can wait for the final hit and try to punish it then. Now, let's go over Domain. My advice with Domain is that you really can't win, but if you're on Awakening, you want to try to lose as fast as possible. Look, I could try to tell you some strategies on not losing the rock, paper, scissors, but it's pointless. Higuruma gets way too much time for him to lose, and while I'm horrible at math, I asked ChatGPT to figure it out for me, and unless it's BSing me, the chances of Higuruma losing his own Domain game without getting any points at all are 3 in 10,000, and the chances of him getting just confiscation are about 1 in 200, which seems like wrong numbers, but I'm not gonna fact check it because I'm too stupid for that. Just know that Higuruma is getting Executioner Sword and confiscation no matter what you do, so there's no point in me trying to tell you stuff like, oh, never pick Confession because it makes Higuruma automatically win, or try to mix it up, because even if you follow that advice, Higuruma's getting the 3 points. However, if you are in Awakening, you want the Domain to end as quickly as possible, because all the time you're in it is time your Awakening is being wasted, and for that purpose, picking Confession is usually the best choice, because it guarantees Higuruma all 3 points. If you notice that the other Higuruma is smart and isn't picking Confession to try and stall out your Awakening, start picking between the other 2 options. It's mostly just a guessing game, but Confession is the quickest way to end Domain for you. As for his actual Awakening, here's where things are a little bit interesting. How well you can deal with Higuruma's Awakening depends heavily on what character you're using. There are some general rule of thumbs though. Don't Ragdoll cancel unless it's the 3rd hit of Execution or Final Judgment. The reason being that the things I just mentioned are instant kills, while pretty much everything else Higuruma has can be tanked without issue. So, you want to save Ragdoll cancel for when Higuruma's trying to one-shot you. Other than that, save your side dash unless you're close enough to them and very confident that you can catch them with a side dash block bypass. If you waste your side dash and you can't dodge Execution, it's a free hit for them. Otherwise, for Execution, you can reliably deal with it by side dashing to dodge it, and it will usually miss since the hitbox isn't that huge. You can also counter it, but again, that's character specific. Final Judgment has a pretty similar counterplay. Save your dash until the end to try and juke them out if you don't have a guaranteed method of escape. Otherwise, there's things that can dodge it 100% of the time. Wall jumping will guarantee that the move misses, so will using a counter before the attack happens so that you can counter the slash, which you need to get the timing down for, and so does using a move that takes you up into the air, like Gojo's Lapsu Maximum Aerial or Sukuna's Dismantle Aerial. Any move that takes you up into the air, or any move that acts as a counter, invalidates this entire move. Once you've dealt with Final Judgment and Execution, generally you just want to pressure Higuruma as much as you possibly can. Higuruma is downright useless without either of those 2 moves, And even with execution, he's not even that scary, because he still needs to land it 3 times, time in which you can just erase him from the face of the earth. However, if you let him fire off his moves and run out his cooldowns, then he'll have the chance to one-shot you, and that's it for you. Dealing with Higuruma is all about saving your counters to Final Judgment so that it doesn't one-shot you, and then murdering him in a time where he doesn't have Final Judgment. Easier said than done, but at the end of the day, he's just a guy with M1s and nothing else when his scary one-shot button is gone. So, that's all you need to know to beat Higuruma. If you have a skill issue and you're losing because your opponent is just better at M1 trading than you, then this advice won't help out. But against any Higuruma around your skill level, this should all be enough to beat them. Higuruma is actually pretty strong right now, but compared to a lot of other characters, he actually has a decent amount of counterplay, even if it's not that easy. Good luck in your ranked matches, and if you enjoyed this video, then consider subscribing since it does help me out a lot. I'm New Eternally, thanks for watching, and have a good day. Bye.